from Grimsby against Manchester United, finishing 2-2 in regular time. Grimsby Town advancing 12-11 in a penalty shootout that seemed like it would never stop. In terms of recent EFL Cup eliminations against lower league opponents, this is what we are looking at. And this is the first EFL Cup elimination versus a fourth-tier club for Manchester United. This Manchester United's recent history in this tournament. OK, Craig, is this a new low for Manchester United?
Well, in case anybody asks, I was scheduled to be in today. I didn't get in the car, fly in, breaking
I had my doubts, I'm not going to lie.
I wasn't breaking all the records to get in during the penalty shootout. I was on the schedule to come in, expecting a Man United win, obviously, because they're playing Grimsby, League Two, bottom tier of the pyramid in professional football. Once you drop out of League Two, you're into what we call non-league, right? And then it can spiral down from there. Embarrassing isn't strong enough, is it? It's not. I can't swear on TV, but embarrassing isn't strong enough. Just awful. Absolutely awful. Ruben Amorim, do you remember after the Arsenal game? He said, we've shown today we can beat anybody. Well, they lost to Arsenal on that day. They lost to Fulham. Did they lose to Fulham?
They drew.
They drew at Fulham. And they lost to Grimsby. Grimsby Town. He's on his... I tell you what, do you remember Steve McLaren with the Burley up at Wembley? The Wally with the Burley. Man United, all right, a few changes, I get it, but a few stars. And by the way, half-time, Agati off. Who was it, you that said, or somebody else? What the hell does he do? And they chased him for 60 million, off at half-time. They brought Fernandez on, and I can't remember who else.
And Burmo and De Ligt.
Yeah, they brought all the big hitters on. They should have been 3-0 down before they equalised, because Grimsby were creating chances. There was a downpour during the game, which really, I think, helped the Grimsby players, to be honest, because they were up for the fight. But during the second half, we have this Man United manager on a tactics board, one of these little things with his coaches, right, looking like a right plonker, right, going like that, move, you know. You're playing Grimsby Town. And you're on a tactic. You need to go on a tactics board to figure out where the space is and how to beat them. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's utterly embarrassing. Even if you're a Man United fan, you must be sitting there thinking, this is a shambles. An absolute shambles from back to front, and the goalkeeper, the manager, what he says. I mean, honestly, I can't tell you. By the way, sorry. Well done, Grimsby. I've got to say that. Well done, Grimsby. What a day for these boys, this manager, this club, this little fishing town in England, which is not the prettiest. Nobody really wants to go there, let's be honest about it. They've just knocked out Manchester United in the Carabao Cup, right? Knocked them out, and at times outplayed them and created some really good chances. So this is I don't know what the worst result in Man United's history is. I don't know. I'm not a very historical person. But this has to be arguably it, or certainly up there. That's how bad this is. Can you imagine getting back in that Man United bus and going back to Manchester? Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
Listen, there's a lot to take away from this. Well, one, I'll double down on what Craig said. Well done, Grimsby. I thought credit to them for the game they played, the way they held their nerve late on, the way they held their nerve through the penalty shootout. It was unbecoming of a League Two side against a Premier League side. Credit to them for that. But from a Manchester United perspective, what you saw in the first half, I thought highlighted how poor a squad this is. Because while Amorim may have been able to offer as a defence, well, I made changes. The front three started with Amad Diallo, who's Manchester United's best player last season, Cunha and Sesko, who they spent an awful lot of money for in the summer transfer window. The back three, albeit Fredrickson and Heaven as two of the back three, and of course Onana in goal, yes, to make changes. But still, I feel that offers a little, or could have offered a little excuse, a little bit of cover. The midfield is without Bruno Fernandes is much of a muchness in that it could have changed. Yes, Mount has started the season so well, but this quite easily could be Manchester United's starting midfield four, Bruno Fernandes apart. Then you make the changes at halftime, and you get yourself back in the game, albeit again late to Harry Maguire header. But that changes the conversation around Manchester United and this performance. And had they gone on and won this, the conversation is then, well, it shows how small our squad is, that really some of those fringe players are not good enough. But you cannot, again, just allow the game to get away from you in the way that it did. Grimsby had one rightly disallowed, had another that they absolutely should have scored. Was that to make it 3-0?
Yes.
Absolutely should have scored. And then you kind of flail a little bit, but then, as ever, get Harry Maguire up the other end, and albeit from a set piece, gets an equaliser. So there's a huge opportunity missed. And we were saying on the weekend how much of a difference a week makes in football. You go from a very good performance in a losing game against Arsenal to now you should have lost against Fulham, as Craig was talking. We discussed that on the weekend. You got away with one there. You can make the argument that you got away with well, Grimsby were fortunate with the second goal. I thought it was handball in the build-up to it. But no VAR, it stands. So maybe you want to say, well, Grimsby were a little bit lucky. But it's Grimsby.
Man United shouldn't be having...
It's Grimsby.
Yeah, they shouldn't have to worry about there's no VAR or sort of handball. They're playing Grimsby Town, for God's sake. This is such a gulf, even between a very bad Man United side. There's such a gulf between these boys, between these players in terms of the talent level. You want a positive for United? Brian Mboma got his first goal. Take that. But let this sink in. Shaka just mentioned the chance that they missed that would have made 3-0, and then say, and I know this is hypothetical. Say that the officials had deemed that Harry Maguire had sufficient control, which he hadn't. Let it sink in that Manchester United could easily have been 4-0 down against Grimsby Town before Brian Mbemo gets his first Manchester United goal from open play anyway, before he scored a penalty, then missed a penalty. They could have been 4-0 down. I mean, seriously, against a team of boys that just wanted to run and fight and had a bit of pace, and it was the biggest evening of their career. They might not get an evening like that again, some of these lads at Grimsby Town. It comes and goes sometimes, and you spend a career in the lower leagues and the Carabao Cup comes out or the FA Cup comes out and you're playing another lower league side. You're not playing a Manchester United or a Liverpool, so some of them might not get another opportunity, and they wanted to roll their sleeves up and go out, and they wanted to take it, and they did. What did Man United do? They did what they've been doing now for 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. They were absolutely awful. And a manager who, once again, plays 3 centre-backs. Grimsby Town, 3 centre-backs. Won't change his style. What the hell the tactics board saying? I've got no idea. Because if you need that during a game to beat Grimsby Town, you shouldn't be in that job. You're screwed. So
Craig has had glowing praise for Grimsby Town, not so much where they play in Grimsby.
Oh, they'll be, tell you what, the fish and chip shops in Grimsby tonight.
We'd have glowing praise for those fish and chip shops too. Let's see how the Wi-Fi connection is, because Mark Ogden was at Blundell Park tonight.
Not great.
Your reaction to what we saw tonight?
It was just absolutely crazy. I mean, the penalty shootout was bad enough. I mean, I'm stood there with a couple of the ex-United pundits, and they're saying, why is it Benjamin Sesko taking the penalty? The striker, he took like that the 11th or 12th. But look, from the beginning, it was obvious that Grimsby wanted it more. The guys are right that Amorim's tactics, very strange. Again, it just doesn't change. And, when you can't even control midfield against a team from League Two, Ugarte and Maynard just couldn't get on the ball. It was embarrassing to watch at times, the fact that Man United were being outplayed and overrun by a team from League Two. Grimsby fully deserved their lead. United were very fortunate to get back into the game, but I thought when they were back in the game at 2-2, they had to win it. And obviously, Sesko missed a great chance last kick of the game. But, I mean, listen, everyone's going to ask what's going to happen to Ruben Amorim right now. From what I'm hearing, there's absolutely no doubt from the United ownership, the board, that he's their guy. But I think this game tonight could be the beginning of it all unravelling, because you lose to Grimsby, you don't come back from that unless you start winning quickly. And I don't see how this team wins quickly. So I think this could be the start of the slippery slope. Saying that, they've had a pretty slippery slope under Amorim so far. But I think this is when a lot of the fans will lose patience. There's been a lot of issues before the game about United being ready to let Kobbie Mainoo go. A lot of fans have kind of lost it with Amorim over that, because they think that Amorim hasn't earned the right, shall we say, to dictate that the homegrown players can leave. So I get the sense of a little bit of a little bit of support going away from Amorim. And what happened tonight won't help at all because it's Grimsby Town. It's League Two. They've never lost to a League Two team competition before. So tonight is a new low. And I don't know how Amorim retrieves it because his system isn't working. His players aren't good enough. And there's only 4 or 5 days of the window left to get deals done. And they're not going to get enough deals done.
On that point as well, Mark, given that your connection is okay right now, Craig...
I'm enjoying the background.
Wonderful. He's in a broom cupboard, I think. Craig did ask during the show already where that ranks in terms of upsets for Manchester United in cup competition. Does anything stand out to you, Mark?
I was at Milton Keynes 11 years ago when Louis van Gaal's team lost to MK Dons 4-0. Well, that was a fringe team. A lot of those players, you look at the team that night, never played for United again. And I think MK Dons were third division rather than fourth division. I can't think of anything comparable to this. I think York City beat United in the 90s, but again, they weren't bottom tier. So to lose to what is almost a fourth division team, it's as bad as it gets for United. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's been a few difficult times in Europe in recent seasons. The Premier League performances haven't really lived up to standards, but to lose to a fourth division team, yes, it's the League Two, but it's a fourth division team. That is a humiliation for Man United, and it really is. And he's got a lot of answering to do now to the owners, to the fans, and he has to explain why his system is completely unsuited to English football, but he sticks with it. He never changes. So we have to ask him, why do you stick with the system? What is it with the goalkeeper? Because now the goalkeeper can catch a ball at a corner. And he doesn't have the answers.
Journalist dream, isn't it, Augie? A journalist dream.
Oh.
There's like loads to write about here. Everybody will be piling on, and rightly so.
Yeah.
So even if they came back and won this game, which it looked like they were going to do at the end, it would still have been negative. It would still
absolutely.
It would still have been negative because, as we were just saying, I don't know if you heard or not, but it could easily have been 3 or 4-0 to Grimsby before Brian and Bemo scored, and so. When you've got players like Mainu, who I know is the big story, you mentioned it, but how Agate? Augie, talk to me about him.
Well, Agate, listen, he can't run and he can't pass. Now, Casemiro can't run and Mainu can't run either, but Agate can't do either. Now, and the problem is, this is the midfield. By playing, it's basically a 2 midfield, isn't it? You've got Bruno Fernandes dropping into that 2, so it takes away his best qualities. And he has to play with Casemiro, who can't run. But the other options are Agate and Mainu. They have no legs in midfield, and they're talking about letting Mainu go because he's unhappy at his lack of opportunities. Listen, I'm not sure about Mainu. I'm not sure he doesn't fit this system, and I'm not sure he's athletic enough to be a top Premier League player. But he's better than Agate. But if your options are Agate, Casemiro, and probably Mainu, then opposition will know that you've got no legs in midfield. And Grimsby Town from League Two knew that as well tonight. I mean, I don't know if you can hear the fans at the moment. They're chanting you're getting sacked in the morning to Ruben Amorim, who's back in the pitch. So, I mean, he won't forget his night to Grimsby, really. He'll never forget coming here, I don't think.
Mark, I'm sure that your arm's aching now, but we've got another question for you. Given that you
Has
did
he got one
go,
of those long, what do you call it?
Maybe one of the selfie sticks.
Selfie stick.
I hope for his
I've just got a long arm.
You got one long arm, but you got one longer than the other, Augie. Is that where it is?
Surely you
like
never expected this to be a loss for United tonight, though.
I didn't expect it, but I knew it might happen, which is why I came, because I just knew that Man United had got potential to lose anywhere. I didn't think they would, but I mean, I've been to Grimsby before. I was there about 20 years ago when they beat Tottenham. So strange things can happen in these competitions, but I didn't think United were that bad. But in fairness to Grimsby played really well. They didn't lose to a bad team tonight. They lost to a fourth division team, which you shouldn't have done. But Man United just still have enough in their locker to win. But Craig's right. It's a big story. Got a lot of writing to do. I'm not sure I'm going to get home from Grimsby tonight, but that's the price of the ticket, isn't it? Sometimes.
I was at that game,